Hi, I'm Ari, I'm the Witch, and today's video is going to be a Q&A. You guys have asked me questions on Instagram, on Discord, and on YouTube, and I'm here today to answer those questions. Gonna try get back into the swing of making videos with a fresh start. And I did take a little break because there was just a lot of change happening in my life, in my witchy life, and I don't think I was in the right mindset to really make educational content for you guys when I was dealing with my own kind of shift, some of which I am going to be talking about today. So you know, let's just dive in. I think we'll start with a question from Verdant Spirit on YouTube, and they have asked, I'd love to hear about your day-to-day life in your ecology job. I'm studying woodland in ecology and it would be great to hear what comes after. Which this is a really lovely question. At risk of sounding like I love talking about myself, I just love talking about ecology and I do love my job, so I'm happy to answer this. My day-to-day in my ecology job, so for those who don't know, I am an ecologist in my sort of non-internet career life, so outside of all of this. And what that looks like can vary from doing very basic consultancy work in my office, at the desk, versus going out in the field and doing habitat surveys, general protected species surveys, more detailed botany surveys, which is sort of my specialty, the route I'm going down. So it can really vary. It's a nice balance between site work and office work, which I quite like. And the types of work that I would be doing, especially on site, varies on the season. So as expected during the winter period, that's when, for example, a lot of the plants aren't out, but also a lot of the animals aren't out. They're either hibernating or just have periods of low activity, or they're not breeding. So animal behaviour can factor into what we do as ecologists and what kind of work that brings in for us. So yeah, it's a whole bunch of things. It's quite an exciting job. It's quite a steep learning curve. There's a lot to learn, there's a lot to do. But yeah, I love it. A similarly related question from Astra on Instagram is, has your methods of engaging with spirits of the land changed since becoming an ecologist? And the answer is hell yes. So much. It's changed so much. I think before I probably didn't engage with land spirits as much as I thought I did. Yeah, I just communicate in different ways and appreciate a lot more and don't really expect much in return anymore. I think a lot of my spirit work used to be a bit more transactional, and nothing inherently wrong with that, but I think what I do more now is much more appreciative, basically just giving more offerings. I'm doing more blessings to the land as opposed to asking the land to bless me. Also appreciate the line of work that I'm in, which there is some level of biodiversity loss that we foresee. Try to compensate that with mitigation or enhancement, habitat creation. So I feel less inclined to be transactional. And yeah, so that's how much it's changed, I guess. But also, I guess, little techniques of things that I do, I've just picked them up intuitively, having worked in the land a lot. There's just certain things that I feel just intuitively that I do, as opposed to, I guess, before, when I didn't have as much experience. I would feel like I'd have to do really set structured rituals, and I would look to books a lot more to help me formulate a specific ritual to do, as opposed to now I'm not blasé, but I'm more casual and personal. And that's not to say formulate rituals are impersonal, it's just, I guess, what works best for me. I think that's what has changed the most. I know what works for me, I know what doesn't produce results as well as other stuff. So yeah, this is from Kat the Little Witch on Instagram. What continues to drive you to practice / why do you practice? When I read this question initially, I thought that's actually a really good question because I don't really have an answer. I think this is just what I've always done. I sort of have always been of the pagan inclination because I was brought up in it. So it clicked when I was really young, even if I wasn't doing what I was doing now when I was younger. The pagan mindset, the witchy mindset clicked when I was quite young. So it was always something that was just a part of me and always was just like breathing. It was just, yeah, that is me. That's just like my thing. But I guess what continues to drive me to actively practice is just experience. When you do things and they work and you're like, oh, okay. I should do that more often. But also community, like it is especially relevant now, which I'll get onto in a minute, how much community has made me feel more passionate about it. It can be especially difficult if you're not really surrounded by in-person community and you're only relying on online community. And I love online communities. I love my Discord communities and like the friends that I've made online that are also pagan or you know, a witch or an occultist. But I think it can be quite hard to really connect through screens, and having in-person community is something which has really helped me, yeah, just want to continue, because you just sort of feel the shared experience, and that's like really powerful. So yeah, that's I guess what continues to drive me. I loved this question from Space Cadet 809 on Instagram, which was, do you have a favourite plant and or tree at the moment? And I do. At the moment, my favourite tree is always the oak tree, like specifically the peduncular oak tree, because obviously, but it does sort of change really, and it does change seasonally as well. Like right now I love the snowdrops because they're everywhere, but I'm also really anticipating early woodland flora coming out, so I'm like thinking about all the ancient woodland indicator species that are gonna be coming out in the next month or so really, but soon, and I'm really excited about it. And I'm just like, yeah, a lot of those are my favourite plants right now. Like wood anemone I'm really anticipating, obviously the bluebell, which is lovely, and this year I'm like determined to go find some early purple orchids. Last year I didn't really find any, which I wasn't really properly hunting for one, but yeah, this year that's like on my brain a lot. I really want to see some early purple orchids because they're really, really lovely, and they're like one of the first orchids to come out, and they're a woodland orchid. I just want to go see one, and I'm determined to find one. So yeah, that's like my favourite plants at the moment. A question from LucyJuice01 on Instagram is, what does your witchcraft practice look like now? Which kind of coincides with the question that I had after this. My craft right now is, I really like where my craft is right now, and I think that's what's made me want to make videos again, because I think I've like gone to a place which feels quite balanced. And this last year I was doing a lot of field magic work essentially, and mostly, like as I said earlier, spirit veneration, connecting to land spirits and feeling the different types of like land spirits in terms of like habitats, and that was really, really lovely. But I wasn't doing a lot of like, I don't know, like practical folk magic stuff, like workings, but mostly because I didn't really feel the need to. And I don't think you should force yourself to just like do random spells just for the sake of doing them. I don't really see the point in that personally. But I think now I'm finding more like maybe just stuff is happening which makes me need to do spells, so maybe that's just it. But yeah, I've got a nice balance I think of what I'm doing, and it is a lot of like folk magic stuff, still a lot of habitat stuff. It's that again, it like waxes and wanes with the seasons. In the winter everything seems a bit more quiet, and quiet in a different way. Not so much that they're not there, because they are, the spirits are everywhere, they're still here, but I get like in a resting mode, and then when everything's like blooming again and coming out, it's like feels a lot like more lively again. So maybe I'm just ramping up to that. That's currently what my witchcraft practice is looking like. Also, I have joined my mum's coven. So my witchcraft practice has drastically changed in that I am a Gardnerian initiate, and I do regular coven work, which is really fun and really exciting, and something which I haven't really done before. So it's quite cool having a new learning experience. I'm learning something that I've not really done before. That is the big shift that I guess I referenced before, and I needed some time to go through that process, to undertake that journey, and I did it. And now I feel a lot more centered around it, grounded about it. I was a bit unsure as to how to feel or what to say to you guys, and I'll happily answer questions where I can. Obviously I can't really say too much, but yeah, that's a big thing of what has changed in my witchcraft practice and is currently what it looks like. A blend between practical folk magic stuff, land spirit work, plant spirit, like just veneration works. I'm also like starting to venerate and do a bit more ancestor work, which is fun. And yeah, my ceremonial witchcraft journey, which has now begun, which is cool. And that answer kind of ties into this next question, which is from Sandy Black on YouTube. How does your current practice go with your mum's Wiccan beliefs? And the answer is that it does go with it. It does now. It's funny, a lot of the misconceptions about Wicca, and I would love to do a video on this with my mum. We've kind of planned to do this. I don't live with my mum, so it's just it's a matter of like meeting up, finding a time to film, which, you know, can be a whole process. So it's just finding the time to do it. But it's funny hearing and seeing a lot of the misconceptions about traditional Wicca and what people think it is, and a lot of the, I guess, negative connotations that a lot of online witchcraft spaces have about it, and how wrong they are. My witchcraft beliefs tie in with my mum's Wiccan beliefs. I mean, we have our separate practices, so we have our separate beliefs, we're not the same person. So, you know, there's things that are different. I probably do a lot more because of my background in ecology. I do a lot more plant spirit work, habitat, land spirit, veneration stuff. She does a lot more like ceremonial occultism, like PGM stuff that she is really like run with. She's really taken and run with wild about it, and it's really, really cool. So we have our different beliefs. But in terms of the Wiccan side of things, yeah, since I've joined her coven, it's similar in that sense. I really like this next question, but I really struggled with like how to read your username. I'm really sorry. It's like Knots Anarchist on Instagram. Really sorry if I just like messed that up. But the question was really great, and it was, what are your beliefs on the afterlife and how do you view death in your practice? And when I was younger, I think it meant a lot more to me trying to figure out what I viewed the afterlife was, and having like a set understanding of what it was than it does now. Nowadays, I think I have a vague understanding of what I believe, but I don't feel the need to massively philosophize it, because you could just tear your hair out trying to. But generally speaking, I believe that there is some form of afterlife from just experience, from connecting with spirits that have passed, from my general understanding of, I wouldn't necessarily use reincarnation, but in terms of like your spirit cycling through stages of life and death, I have some vague understanding that, you know, it must have some form of afterlife, in the sense that I can like connect with things that have passed, and not just people. I'm talking about like animal spirits, plant spirits as well. Since becoming an ecologist and doing a lot more field work, I come across a lot more dead animals. Not a lot of the time, but you know, I come across some like the odd skulls, animal skulls, and just like things that have passed out in the wild just naturally, and I'll do some like death work with them, just very basic things which I would love to chat about more on my YouTube channel, and maybe I will in the future, but I'm still learning, so I'd feel like it'd be a bit disingenuous if I pretended to be an expert on it, because I'm not. But I do very simple death rituals for them, and in that sense that must then coincide with some belief of an afterlife, right? And that's what makes sense in my head, at least. I don't really have any set, like, no, this is what it is, this is where we go, and then this is what happens. I haven't really, in the past I used to give it a lot more thought than I do now. Now I'm sort of like, witches are what witches do, I do this is who I am. I'm gonna leave it at that for now. I think that is all that I need to really know. This next question was from Grey Flammable on Discord, and it is, how does your practice of witchcraft help with your personal balance and mental health? Which I thought was a really lovely question. And as someone who has experienced or has had mental health conditions ever since I was quite young, I guess this also answers the previous question. It's something which has been a constant fuel for my, you know, belief in deities, my practice of witchcraft, in that it's something which really helps me with my own personal mental health and my life and all sorts of things. But I guess related to the question, yeah, it does help. Not necessarily in an overt way. I don't tend to do sorry if you can hear that magpie outside the window. I don't tend to do a lot of like explicitly mental health spells and things like that, but I will use tools to help me on my sort of like mental journey, so to speak. Like, for example, divination is a big thing for me, specifically tarot. Tarot really helps me just get out of my head. I think with my depression and anxiety, I can overthink quite a lot, and I'll have like loads of different scenarios running through my mind, and I will just sometimes, well, I say sometimes, a lot of the time, I'll use the cards just to help me see, lay out in front of me what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, how my body's doing, and how I can proceed with like the issue at hand, and you know, the situation, how I'm feeling, etc. So yeah, in that sense it really helps my mental health, specifically divination the most. My own personal connection to deities and spirits really helps, and in a maybe in a psychological sense, you know, just feeling like reaching out to your deities and hearing them answer, and then obviously that makes me feel better about myself. So yeah, I feel like I just waffled that question, I'm really sorry. I'm gonna move on to your favourite planet and why, which is a question from Capt on Discord. And I feel like a massive magical cliche, but I love Venus because I just don't know, I just love Venus. I get the most happy feeling thinking about Venus. And mostly just because I've recently invited Venus into my life. I say recently, in the past like year or two, and I felt a lot more content about myself. I felt a lot more happy with how I look and where my life's going, because I don't necessarily see Venus as just like vanity. I see it as like just general like love of self in all aspects of your life. So yeah, I feel like Venus has just helped me through so much, and both, you know, physically, appearance wise, but also other ways. So yeah, Venus is great. And maybe my last question from Violet Rock on Instagram wants to hear about my connection to Hekate. I think for a while I was using the label Brittonic polytheist for a while, and I wouldn't say I'm not that anymore, but I think where I have also just had really strong experiences with other non-Brittonic deities, such as, well, if we're including Venus as a deity, but also Hekate and Artemis as well. I probably don't fit into the strict label of Brittonic polytheist now, although I still work with Brittonic deities. But Hekate specifically, I love her, and I just, again, feel a bit like a magical cliche. Everyone loves Hekate. But she is just amazing, and really just, I don't even know. I literally can't even put it into words. That's how amazing Hekate is. And she's helped not just me, but also my close family and my loved ones a lot. So I feel like, not out of obligation, but I want to keep her as a presence in my life because of how much she's helped me. And I'm actually getting quite emotional, so I'm gonna take a minute. Yeah, she's helped me so much, and I I just love her as a goddess. I think she is amazing. So yeah, my connection to Hekate, I'm not sure I'd say is really strong, because I don't typically do a lot of deity work, which I see a lot of people online talk about, and if we're coming from that perspective, I probably wouldn't give similar answers to those. But in terms of just my personal connection, yeah, she has a strong space on my altar, on my shrine, and she's frequently called upon in spells, and she's a frequent name in my prayers and blessings. Yeah, she's great. I do want to do a Hekate video, and I have again also plan to do this with my mum, and because she also loves Hekate and she also holds space for her, and we will at some point. It's just finding the time, and it's a video that I will want to really properly research and lay out in an understandable way, because she is quite a prolific goddess, and there's a lot of like misconceptions, there's a lot of like modernisms with Hekate, and it's a big historical research video basically, and I just haven't really had the time or energy to do that yet. But I will at some point. Hopefully by the end of the year, that's all I can promise you. So thank you everyone for watching. If you've stuck around to the end, let me know. Let me know by putting like a nice little plant emoji in the comments, and then I know that you're the real ones and you stayed till the end. Yeah, thank you for watching. And sorry that I go through some bouts of just not making videos. I, in my head, would rather produce content which I know I'm proud of and that I like and I think is useful, maybe bar a Q&A, which is just very self-indulgent. I'd rather, you know, wait until I want to make content like that and I feel ready to make that type of content, rather than trying to just make something and not really like it. And I think also it kind of shows in that, like, I think a lot of people wouldn't like it either. So yeah, that's just where my head's at in terms of why I'm taking breaks and not producing regular content. I hope that's understandable. But yeah, thank you again, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.